Hi, this is Sue Jackson, host of the Big Book Summer Challenge, and I'm here today with a Friday Reads video. Before I catch you up on what I've been reading, just a quick update on Big Book Summer. It officially kicked off last Friday, so we're a week in, but no fear, you have until September 1st to read one or more big books. The idea is very simple. A big book is 400 or more pages. You set your own goals, whether that's one big book you've been meaning to get to, or two or three, or like I like to do, a whole stack. And you've got from now until September 1st, which is Labor Day in the US. So plenty of time still. Lots and lots and lots of people are already participating. We've got some great Big Book Summer communities on both Goodreads and Storygraph, where you can chat about big books all summer long. Really fun groups in both places. I am trying to keep up with all of your Big Book Summer videos and your introductions in the Goodreads group. Trying to even check Storygraph once in a while, which I just joined this week. But I'm falling a little bit behind because there are so many people interested, which is wonderful. And this year I have Melinda at A Web of Stories to help me keep up with all this. She is my co-host, so please visit her channel. A couple of things that I wanted to add since I made the Big Book Summer video, which I had to make 2 weeks ahead of time. So just a couple of updates. I did not mention in that video that both Melinda and I have a Big Book Summer playlist on our channels that includes not only our kickoff videos, but all of your Big Book Summer videos. So as I've been watching those, I've been adding them to my playlist. I will link that down below. So if you're interested in seeing who else is participating, what books they're planning to read for Big Book Summer, you can just check out either of the playlists. I'll link them both below. And I've added some new Big Book Summer products. I just this morning created a new mug. It's this size, but it's got a blue interior, so I really like the way that looks. I just ordered myself a tote bag. They come in 3 different sizes. In my video, I said I couldn't find my Big Book Summer notebook. I found it. It was exactly in the place I thought it was, where I had searched for it like a half dozen times. It's just kind of the way my mind is these days. There are several things lost in our home. So I've got my Big Book Summer notebook. I'm going to be keeping track of what I read. I also got a Big Book Summer phone case that I really love. I can't show it to you in person because I'm recording with my phone right now, but I'll show you a picture. So all of those things are in my Printify shop, plus a lot more, plus the t-shirt I'm wearing and several other different styles of t-shirt and sweatshirt. But if there's anything that you'd like, and there's a bunch of insulated mugs as well, if there's anything you'd like that I don't have there, just let me know and I can add it pretty easily. I think that's all the Big Book Summer updates. So what I've been reading this week. Well, first of all, I finished reading The Road to Roswell by Connie Willis. I loved this book. I picked it out a few weeks ago in the Quick to Judge tag. I'll link to that so you can see that, where I read the opening paragraphs of 5 different books and ended up choosing this one to read next. I was trying to fit in one shorter book before Big Book Summer started. Now, this isn't that much shorter. It's 399 pages. It is 1 page shy of a big book. So I was worried that that I'd still be reading it into Big Book Summer and that would put me behind on my other big books. I shouldn't have worried. I finished this in 1 week, which is really fast for me to read a 400-page book. It is just so good. I love Connie Willis. Her Oxford Time Travel series, some of those books are among my husband and my favorite books of all time. Doomsday Book. Down here on the shelf, you can see Blackout and All Clear. Those two go together. They're All Clear is a sequel to Blackout. Those are set in World War II London. They're each about time travelers from Oxford in 2060 visiting different time periods. They're historians, and in the future, that's how we study history, by going back in time. But in this case, in that 2-book series, the historians get stuck in World War II London, and something goes wrong and they can't find a way back. All of her books are just so suspenseful. The historical detail of those is just stunning, fascinating, and she's always got a sense of humor. So I wasn't sure what I would think of The Road to Roswell, though, because it's completely different. The premise is that in Roswell, New Mexico, during a UFO festival, a real-life alien who looks nothing like what we think aliens look like from the movies. He looks like a tumbleweed. He picks up a young woman named Francie who's in town for her college roommate's wedding, and she's in this bizarre bridesmaid's dress when the alien forces her to drive him somewhere. And they end up picking up other hitchhikers along the way. So it is a road trip with an alien who looks like a tumbleweed. So right off the bat, it sounds like a really silly premise, right? And yes, it's a very funny novel. It is somewhat farcical at times, particularly, it's really playing with all the UFO and alien tropes from pop culture. And each of the people they pick up is kind of a character, not just in the literary sense. And so yes, it is very funny, somewhat farcical, but, and I should have known this from Connie's other books, it is a gripping novel. That's why I read it in only a week. I was staying up way too late every night reading. We were even traveling, visiting our son and his girlfriend for her college graduation. So I was exhausted. We were in a strange place, but I was still reading. I couldn't put it down once I started. Another characteristic of Connie Willis's books is even when they're funny or suspenseful, they're still always heartwarming, and this was no exception. I loved this novel. As soon as I finished it, I told my husband, you have to read this, and I'm sure he'll love it too. If you enjoyed Project Hail Mary by Andy Weir, and if you haven't read it yet, you have to read it. You will love this book. So that was a huge win for me. Thank you to the Quick to Judge tag and for Jess Book Girl TV for tagging me in that, because I got to read this sooner than I probably would have. Huge recommendation. And on audio, just before Big Book Summer started, I finished listening to Anxious People by Frederick Bachman. It's another novel that is just under 400 pages. I really enjoyed it. I had previously listened to A Man Called Ove by Frederick Bachman and read Beartown for one of my book groups, both excellent novels. And Anxious People was also really, really good. It's another novel, coincidentally, that seems kind of silly at first, but has a lot of heart, a lot of humor, plenty of suspense, lots of plot twists and surprises. The premise is that a bank robber tries to rob a bank. The bank robber is desperate, tries to rob this bank in his town. Turns out the bank is a cashless bank. So the bank robber can hear the sirens, he knows the police are coming, runs across the street to the apartment building, and goes into an open house in an apartment. And there's a group of people there, around 8 or 9 people. And what happens next is, like in The Road to Roswell, at times it's somewhat farcical, but in this case, Anxious People is all about the characters. And you dig in really deep with each one of the characters, not just the bank robber and the people who are at the open house, but also the 2 police officers who are investigating, an older police officer and a younger police officer. And little by little, you get the backstories and the current life situation of each of these characters. And it is very, very clever, the way it all weaves together. There are lots of surprising plot twists. The basic theme behind this novel is that first impressions are usually wrong of people, of crime scenes, and it just really digs into this theme that you need to get to know people better to really understand what they're dealing with. And that at first glance, we're all guilty of judging other people based on first impressions, and you never know what's going on behind the scenes with a person. So I loved that thread throughout it. I loved the sense of humor. Like I said, it surprised me quite often with some of the twists. Really enjoyed listening to Anxious People by Frederick Bachman. He's got a brand new novel out, My Friends, I think it's called, which is a big book. So yeah, if I have time, I may try to get that on audio this summer. So on to Big Book Summer. My first book for Big Book Summer is Madame Bovery by Gustave Flaubert. It's a classic that I've been meaning to read for ages. My mom listened to the audio probably 10 years ago now and told me she loved it. I bought it a few years ago. It's been sitting on my shelf, so I'm really glad to get to it. I chose this one first, and actually it made my big book stack in the first place because I saw that Melinda at A Web of Stories, my co-host for Big Book Summer, did a read-along of this in April and May. So I'm kind of catching the tail end of that. I don't want to see any spoilers, so I haven't looked at her discussions yet, which I think are on her Discord. But I will check that out. Madame Bovary, the title character, is a young woman who marries a man named Charles Bovery. Charles is kind of an average man. Grew up in the country, not super charismatic or motivated, but he was always kind of in the middle of his class at school when his parents finally sent him to school. But he did manage to become a doctor. So he's got a practice in a small country town. He treats, the main character's first name is Emma. He treats Emma's father for a broken leg. And in his multiple visits to the household, he gets to know Emma. They decide to get married, but Emma's quite young. She went to a convent school. So she was brought up in a very sheltered kind of environment, though she has read a lot of novels. And it sounds like mostly romance novels. So she has this very naive, kind of fairy tale view of love. And she soon realizes, like immediately after they're married, that she's not in love with Charles. That she was just so eager to escape her own small town and her kind of routine life with her father that's why she married him. So I'm about 150 pages in now. Emma is not happy. She's never happy. I can't decide if I feel sorry for her or if she's just kind of annoying because she's just, what she wants out of life is what she's read about in romance novels. And granted, I certainly agree that everyone deserves real love in their lives, But I also think she doesn't really give Charles or any other aspect of her life a chance, because she's got this idealized version in her head. She also is really enamored of Paris. It takes place in France. Of Paris, you know, they live in this small country town. She's enamored of the trappings of wealth. They get invited at one point to a huge party in like a wealthy mansion. And, you know, from then on, that's what she wants out of life, which is really unrealistic. Flaubert is very good at writing about nature, something that I always enjoy. So he writes beautifully, describing the scenery in the countryside, in their yard, the passing of the seasons, what's blooming, what the sky looks like, things like that. I'm enjoying those passages. The book is interesting so far. Like I said, I'm not sure how I feel about Emma. Empathetic toward her. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens with the rest of the story. So yeah, I'm about 150 pages in. It's just a little over 400 pages. So it is a shorter big book, but definitely not as fast paced as what I just finished. Quite a bit slower paced. So I'm hoping this weekend to have some extra reading time when I can make some more progress with this. My husband's leaving on Saturday for his annual golf trip with back to his hometown to golf with his 2 high school friends. So I should have more reading time. On audio, I combed through my audiobook backlog, which is huge, looking for anything, looking up each title on Amazon to see how many pages the print edition had. Kind of a tedious process. I think I must have already done this the last few summers and weeded out most of the big books because I don't have that many left. I do have The Brothers Karamazov, which I plan to listen to later this summer. I wanted to start with something a little shorter, and I have requested, based on popular opinion from all of you and from other readers I've been chatting with, everyone says The Covenant of Water is an amazing novel. I read his first novel, Cutting for Stone. I definitely didn't have time to add another big chunkster to my pile of print books for Big Book Summer, so I requested that from the library. There's still quite a waiting list for it, even though it came out a couple of years ago. I think it was 2 or 3 summers ago. That was like the #1 book of Big Book Summer. It seemed like everybody was reading it, and I did miss out. So I'm waiting for that to come in from the library. In the meantime, I did find a couple of big books among my backlog. One of them is a YA novel, Artifice by Sharon Cameron. This is a World War II novel set in Amsterdam about art. So even though sometimes I feel like I've learned everything there is to know about World War II, I'm sure you feel the same way sometimes as a reader. There are just so many outstanding books about World War II. I just mentioned those 2 a few minutes ago. But there are always new aspects of the war, stories that I hadn't heard before. And this is one of those. So the main character is a young woman named Isa. She's been brought up among art. Her parents were both painters. They had a gallery. Her mother has died, and she's caring for her father, who sometimes, it's hard to tell. I'm still not too far into the novel. It seems like he might either have dementia or some other issues. And of course, the Netherlands has been occupied by the Nazis, so it's a very dangerous place to be. They are not Jewish, but Isa is wondering if maybe she should be a part of the resistance. Some of her friends are. So in the beginning of the novel, Isa goes to this, what used to be an art auction house that the Nazis have turned into a place for them to cheat the Dutch out of their valuable artwork. So people who are desperate, who are starving, who want to feed their families, they sell these fabulous pieces of art from the Dutch masters to the Nazis for a pittance of what they're worth. So Isa goes in there, she sells a Rembrandt, they buy it, pay her a fairly large sum, certainly not what it's worth. So that's how the novel starts. And Isa knew it was a fake. So this kind of gets her thinking that this is a way that she could both help the resistance and earn money to help the resistance, and also kind of just, get the Nazis. It's very interesting so far. The details about the art are interesting. I don't know a whole lot about art myself, although maybe about 5 years ago, my husband and I did start visiting art museums, and we do enjoy that. So I'm trying to learn more. So this is interesting so far. It is certainly an aspect of the war and even of the Nazi occupation of the Netherlands that I didn't know about. So I'm enjoying it. The audio is very well done. So that's what I'm reading this week. I would love to hear what you're reading. Please let me know in the comments down below. Are you participating in Big Book Summer this year?